Hey guys, today we're going to continue our work with topic 7, and we're going to focus today on combining like terms. So let's go ahead and get started here. Like terms are just terms that have the same variable and are raised to the same power. So the first thing we're going to do is identify our like terms in the following expressions using different colors or shapes. So I am going to start by rewriting this expression. Our expression, we have 9r minus 16m minus 3r plus 4m. We're going to rewrite this expression to eliminate our subtraction. So what we talked about in topic 4 was adding and subtracting with rational numbers, and we know that if we have subtraction, we can do keep, change, opposite, and we can change that subtraction to addition as long as we change our sign. So if we look here, I'm going to rewrite this as 9r plus negative 16m plus negative 3r plus 4m. Now, I'm going to use some different colors here, and I'm going to circle my like terms. Since I have 9r, I have the same variable here as I have here with my plus 3r. So I'm going to circle those. So 9r and negative 3r are like terms. Now I also have negative 16m and 4m. Those are also like terms. All right, now I could also go through and rewrite this using different symbols. So instead of using my different colors here, I can look for my like terms in this expression here. We have 13xy plus 2 minus 5yx plus 7x. So I'm going to look for my like terms. Since 13xy and my minus 5yx have the same variables, they are like terms. So although they are in a different order, since they're all being multiplied, they are considered like terms. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of draw a box around these. Now, I also have a plus 2. This is just a number by itself. Remember, we call that a constant from last year, constantly alone. The number is by itself. I don't have any other constants in my expression. So this one, I'm going to circle this, is by itself. And then over here I have 7x. I cannot combine that with any other terms. I'm going to put a triangle around it. So as you can see, we can do different colors, we can do different shapes just to show our like terms. So let's take a look at this last one. We have 14y plus 7y squared plus 10 minus y plus 3x squared minus 5. So we have a lot going on here in this expression. So I'm going to just start with my first term. I have 14y, and I'm going to look, and I'm just going to underline this one. Later here in my expression, I have a minus y. Those are like terms because they both contain just a y. Now, I'm going to look at my second term here, and I have 7y squared. I'm going to go ahead and put a box around that, and then I'm going to look for any other terms that have y squared, and I don't have any. So this one is going to be by itself. There's nothing I can combine it with. My next one, I've got plus 10, which is a constant. And then if I look down here, I have minus 5. So those are two constants. So those are going to be like terms. I'm going to circle those. And then last, I have 3x squared. Since I don't have any other terms with an x squared, I'm going to put that in a triangle as best I can. So those are showing our different like terms. Now, moving on, we can add or subtract expressions by combining like terms. We just go through, follow the order of operations. This might mean that you have to distribute first. So we will be using the distributive property. And then we always want to include the sign in front when we are looking at our like terms. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move this down so we can see. We are gonna do some examples together, and we're gonna do this a couple ways. Some of these we'll go ahead and we will rewrite our expressions. If we have subtraction, we're gonna rewrite as addition, and we'll show how to do that. And then sometimes we'll just leave it as subtraction. I'll show you guys both ways, and you can do what is more comfortable for you, what you prefer. So let's take a look down here. We have 9a plus 13 minus 3a minus 15. So in this first example, we're going to go ahead and change our subtraction to addition. So I'm going to rewrite our problem. We have 9a plus 13, and I have minus 3a. So I'm going to change that to addition. So it's going to be plus negative 3a, and then plus negative 15. All right, so I'm going to look at my expression and I'm going to look at what are my like terms. So I'm going to come over here and look at my first term, which is 9a, and my like term is going to be plus negative 3a. Then I'm going to look at my 13, which is a constant, and I'm going to circle 13, and the like term is going to be my negative 15, so plus negative 15. So first I'm going to look at my variable, or my terms with the variable a. I have 9a plus negative 3a. So if I go back and I remember what I was doing in topic 4, if I add a positive and a negative, remember, same you add, different you subtract. So we're going to do 9a minus 3a, which will give us 6a. And then I'm going to look at my constants, and I have 13 and negative 15. So again, same you add, different you subtract. So I am going to do 15 minus 13, which would give me 2. And since negative 15 is bigger, it's going to be negative 2. So I have 6a plus negative 2. I could also write this as 6a minus 2. So both of these expressions are correct. I'm going to circle this one just so we can eliminate the extra signs. So 6a minus 2 is how we can simplify this expression by combining our like terms. We're going to look at our next example. Now, this one, we have a negative sign out here in front of our parentheses. And what that means is that this is actually a negative 1. And since we have a negative 1 outside of our parentheses, this means we're going to use the distributive property. So I'm going to distribute my negative 1 to both terms inside my parentheses. And over here, I have it again. I have a minus sign, and we can use that as the same as we did here. We can see that as negative. So negative 1 times 4 and negative 1 times 8y. So we're going to rewrite this expression after we've used the distributive property. So when I do that, my negative 1 times 6y is going to give me negative 6y plus negative 1 times 15 is going to give me negative 15. Then I'm going to put my addition sign. My negative 1 times 4 is negative 4. And then I'm going to keep my subtraction sign here. And negative 1 times 8y is negative 8y. Now, we've gone through and done our distributive property. Now we're going to do a couple changes. We're going to change our subtraction to addition just to make that a little bit easier on us. So here we have subtraction. We're going to change this to addition and change opposite. I'm going to make this negative 8y positive 8y. Now I can look at combining my like terms. So I'm going to come over here and I have negative 6y. Go ahead and circle that. And plus positive 8y. I have negative 6y plus positive 8y. I have one positive and one negative, so I'm going to subtract. 8y minus 6y is 2y. And since my 8y is bigger and it's positive, my 2y is positive. And then I'm going to combine my negative 15 and my negative 4. So negative 15 plus negative 4, same we add. So 15 plus 4 is 19. And since they're both negative, they get a negative sign. So this simplifies then to 2y plus negative 19. Or again, since we're doing plus negative, we can write this as 2y minus 19. Okay. I'm going to move the page up a little bit more just so we can see a little clearer and you guys have a little more space. Oops. And we're going to take a look at our last three examples. In our question 3 here, our example, we have our 1/2 out here in front of the parentheses, which again tells us we're going to use the distributive property. So I'm going to distribute my 1/2 to my 16m and to my 9. And then the rest of this I'm going to leave just like it is for now. Remember that when we multiply by 1/2, that's also kind of like we were dividing by 2. So 1/2 times 16m is also the same as 16m divided by 2, which is going to give us 8m. And 1/2 times 9 is going to be 4.5 or 4.5. Then I'm going to continue on with my minus 12 and minus 6m. Now, again, I can go through and I can change my subtraction to addition, or I can just leave it the way it is right here. So I'm going to take a look at my 8m minus 6m. We just need to make sure we include that sign, that minus 6m. And 8m minus 6m gives us 2m. And then I have 4.5 minus 12. Remember, if we're subtracting a number that's bigger, we can always do plus negative. Or we have different signs here, so we do 12 minus 4.5, which is 7.5. And since it's negative 12, and that's bigger than the 4.5, it would be negative. So 2m minus 7.5 is what we get when we combine our like terms and we simplify our expression. All right, so let's take a look at example 4. Again, we have the distributive property, and this time we're distributing our negative 2 to both terms in the parentheses. So I'm going to go ahead and do negative 2 times 3x to get negative 6x minus negative 2 times 4, which is going to give me negative 8. And then here I've got my negative sign again, so I'm going to distribute that to these parentheses here. And I'm doing negative 1 times 5x, so this is now going to be negative 5x. And I'm doing negative 1 times 4x squared, which would be plus negative 4x squared. All right, so then when I go to simplify this, I am going to look for my like terms, look for my variables. I have negative 6x plus negative 5x, which will give me negative 11x. Remember, same we add, different we subtract, so we have the same sign. Then I'm going to come back up here though, and I have subtraction, so I'm going to make that addition and make my negative 8 positive. And now I have my plus 8, right? I don't have any other constants here, so I'm just going to bring this down as plus 8. So this was by itself. And then we also have plus negative 4x squared, which again does not have any other like terms. So then I will have plus negative 4x squared or just minus 4x squared. And this is my simplified expression. I can't simplify it any further. I can't combine any other terms. This is as far as I can go. All right, so let's take a look at this last problem. We have a word problem here. It says a shopkeeper spends 7x plus $19 on rent and electricity. If she spends 2x minus $7 on rent, how much does she spend on electricity? So we are given two different expressions here. We want to make sure we keep those separate and we keep the expressions together. So we're going to write these using parentheses. So I'm starting with 7x plus 19. And then over here, now we said that expression represents the amount she spends on rent and electricity. Now, the expression over here, 2x minus 7, is telling us that that is what she spends on just rent. So since this is rent and electricity, and this is just rent, if we want to know how much she just spent on electricity, we are going to subtract. So I'm going to take a look here. I do have this minus, which we said represents -1. So I'm going to distribute that to what's in my parentheses before I start combining. So over here, I don't have any distributive property, so I can just bring this down as 7x plus 19. And then I am going to have plus -1 times 2x is -2x. And -1 times 7 is -7. So we have -2x minus -7. And again, since we have minus, since we have subtraction, we can change this to add and take the opposite of -7, which would be +7. All right, so now I can look at combining my like terms. I have 7x and -2x. 7x plus -2x. Remember, same we add, different we subtract. I know I keep saying that. We just want to keep remembering that. 7x minus 2x will give us 5x. And since 7x is bigger than 2x and 7x is positive, my 5x is positive. And then I have positive 19, right? And positive 7. And I'm going to add those two together as well. So 19 plus 7 is 26. So my final simplified answer here is 5x plus 26. I know this was a lot of information, and we combined our distributive property and combining like terms. We're kind of combining everything we've been working on with our rational numbers, with the distributive property, and we're tying that into some algebra with all of our variables and expressions right now. I hope this makes sense. I hope you understand this. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out and ask for help from your teachers. Also, when you're working on the activity that follows this, if you have any questions, make sure you ask for help.